Welcome to this episode of Lift Ed. I am Stephanie Larson, and I am joined today by Shaun Trudell. He is the president of Automation Arts. Shaun, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So let's start off with, can you just tell me a little bit about the Automation Arts story?
Yep. Automation Arts has been around for about 20 years. In 2012, we changed ownership.
Okay.
Ben Scharf, who's a local entrepreneur, bought Automation Arts back in 2012.
Perfect. Okay. And so what services do you provide at Automation Arts?
Yep, we provide audio-video integration services.
Okay.
So we install audio-video into companies where their conference rooms need, video conferencing, audio conferencing to help improve their efficiencies.
Perfect. Okay. And so that could be really any company would need that, right? Because a lot of companies have meetings with external people. So, So who do you typically work with?
Inside companies, we work a lot with facilities managers, we work with IT managers, but external companies would be more of like electrical companies we would work with, architectural firms. We would even work with other IT companies that don't provide AV services.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so a little bit of collaboration there.
Yep.
And so what would you say are Automation Arts' keys to success?
I would say our number one key to success are our people. We've really focused on hiring, top quality talent, people that have a lot of experience in the industry.
Okay, and so when you say a lot of experience in the industry, you're talking about audiovisual specifically.
Yep.
Okay.
So yeah, there a lot of our guys have a lot of background in live audio. A lot of them have grown up with computers, and a lot of people get into the industry by it kind of being a hobby. So and then it just becomes a career path for them because it's becoming more and more prevalent. Okay,
that's awesome. And so you talked about your people. So can you tell me a little bit about your culture? Do you hire to that as well and the experience? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I think our culture is what a lot of people come here for. We have a very, I would say, tight-knit group. Everybody gets along really well. It seems to be a lot of fun. There's a lot of joking. There's a lot of excitement, and a lot of the stuff that we're interacting with is fun. When you're dealing with large televisions, and the interactive stuff is really fun.
That's awesome. Okay, awesome. And so, what does the future look like for Automation Arts?
The future for Automation Arts, I would say we're going to continue to grow.
Okay.
We're going to continue to focus on being, I think, one of the larger AV integrators in Wisconsin.
Okay.
I don't know that we'll open any more markets anytime soon, but I think long term that would be our plan.
Awesome. And so you say open up any more markets. So you're obviously in the Madison market.
Yep.
And what other markets are you in?
We have a market in Milwaukee as well.
Okay.
So we have two locations, Madison being our headquarters, kind of where we were founded. But from a facility standpoint, the two locations are pretty similar in size. So you could really, bounce out of either one. And I would say Milwaukee's probably our more the market that has a lot more activity going on it right now, just with the revitalization of the downtown, the Fiserv, the Bucks, all of that stuff going on. The DNC obviously being hosted there next year is going to be a huge draw to Milwaukee.
That's huge. Yeah, you're right. That's awesome. Okay. And so are there any, it sounds like you're not going to go into new markets, but are there any changes forthcoming at Automation Arts?
Externally, no. Internally, there are. We're implementing a new CRM this next year, I think, which will help streamline a lot of our processes, which will result in a lot of better communication and a smoother implementation of clients' projects.
Oh, that's awesome. So client experience is obviously important to you.
Yes.
And culture, so that's amazing. Okay.
Absolutely.
And so what are a few key leadership principles that you attribute to the success here at Automation Arts?
I think the leadership principle for me would really be, the fact that I don't ask anybody to do something I wouldn't do myself. So I think my team would say that I'm willing to get in the trenches with them, and because of that, and having kind of done almost every aspect of the job, I can relate to a lot of what they're going through, so I can kind of help streamline some of those processes and really understand some of the struggles that they're dealing with.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so we didn't really talk about this, but tell me a little bit about where you started in the company. So you've done everything, you said.
Yes, I have. So I started with the company back in 2004 when it was under different ownership.
Oh, okay.
And I worked here for a couple of years, and then I left, did some things on my own, and then in 2012 I came back.
Okay.
So originally started as an installer. When I came back, I was a project manager.
Okay.
We had just 5 employees back in 2012.
Okay.
So we were doing a lot of everything.
Yeah.
Right? It was project management, it was selling, it was installing, it was whatever it took. There was, I cleaned the bathrooms when I had to.
That's amazing. Okay.
But, yeah.
So kind of like a servant leader. Basically, you'll roll up your sleeves and you'll dig in and you'll do it too.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. If you could rewind and go back about 10 years, what would you tell yourself?
Don't listen to the naysayers.
Okay, and why is that?
I think, especially like when you're taking risks, right? I think a lot of people that you're connected with closely would tend to not support you in those risks, right? I think going out of your comfort zone is not something that people do easily. And so because of that, if you're going to do something, I think those people become uncomfortable, and I think their intentions are right, but they may not see the full picture. So I think even when I started my own company, it was, my parents were like, "Are you sure you can do this? This doesn't seem like a very good idea. You could probably work for a company and just get a paycheck."
Sure.
But I think you have to be willing to go outside of your comfort zone to really see what you can do. So don't listen to the naysayers.
Awesome. I love that. I just saw a quote recently, and it basically said, if you're doing something that's new and exciting, people will tell you can't do it. And but then if you succeed, they'll say, "Okay, great job." And so I think basically what it's saying is there's always going to be naysayers, but
always.
if you can get yourself there and you can put yourself outside that comfort zone, the rewards are always going to outweigh the risks.
Yep. Okay. I would agree.
Awesome. And so do you have any recommendations to our audience as it relates to leadership and sales? Like any tips, any advice?
I would say really the training side of it, right? I think when you look at like how people are, how they progress through a workplace is, the people that are really good at one position tend to go into the manager role, but no one's ever really trained you to be a manager.
Sure.
So I think one of the biggest things that I found, especially like with Lyft, is having that forum to really talk about leadership. What does that mean? How do you work on the business, right, and not just in the business, and focus on growing the team around you.
Yeah.
So I think, making sure that you have the right tools in place to help you be a successful leader.
That's awesome. So really, when you help people get what they want, then you'll get what you want.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again for being on the show.
You're
It's
welcome.
been a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
Until next time.
Bye-bye.